How would you like to be able to connect with your higher self? Elizabeth Makepeace will tell us how. And what's so special about Elizabeth is she's a natural success coach and intuitive activator. With over 27 years of experience in the field of intuitive development, she's helped hundreds of people to stop second guessing and start deeply trusting their higher self. Through intuition training, alchemy, subconscious recoding, Elizabeth supports people in becoming who they were born to be, untethered, empowered, and led by inner truth. Now, I love this topic. And the reason I love this topic is because my mission is to impact 100 million people to be happier, to go after what they want, to share their stories, and to create wealth through books that transform the world. Now, the reason why I'm not there already is because of self-doubt. And possibly I don't know how to connect with my higher self in order to get the kind of answers I need in order to get there faster. So tell us, Elizabeth, how can an entrepreneur connect with their higher self in order to live their destiny? Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever, shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Hey, Lily, and it's lovely to be here. Connecting with your higher self is something that we can do naturally, and it's already happening. It's just that we have been conditioned to listen to our conditioned mind, our familiar mind, the mind chatter, the self-doubt. When we're being raised from the moment we're born to, 3, 4, up to about 12 years old, we are in a brain wave frequency that is the same as hypnosis. So it's like everything that is happening around us, everything that we see, we experience, we sense, all of it is being programmed into us like we're software. And so now that becomes part of our subconscious mind. And that part of us is the part that is keeping us alive, surviving, making sure we don't die. And that process of that happening means that 95% of the time that is on autopilot. So when we have an intuitive nudge, like we get some sort of inspired idea from our higher self, because our higher self, the quantum field, that part of us that is connected to our soul's destiny is continuously talking to us, but it's like a whisper. It doesn't come through exactly the same for everyone, and it's very subtle. And within microseconds, our unconscious is giving us information of why we can't do that, or why it's not relevant, or it's trying to distract us. It's doing all of these things, and it's causing, it's the one that's connected to the nervous system. So then we have an emotional regulation with that, so we may go into an experience within microseconds. You want to impact so many people. Within microseconds, anything that happened to you when you were younger of not feeling good enough or worthy or capable will come up in your unconscious patterning, and it will give you the reason based on this library of the past of why you are unable to do that, because it wants to keep you safe. The intuition is connected to the unknown, and so the unconscious will do everything it possibly can to hold you in a pattern of familiarity rather than in the unknown. So to really tune into your higher self, you've got to quieten the mind, and you've got to set an intention. So you've got to set the intention, and then you have to watch out for the signs and the wisdom that your higher self is giving you.
Thank you. For people that don't like to quieten their mind, what do you suggest?
That's a big one, right? Because the mind is super strong and is going to do everything it possibly can to take control. if you're someone that doesn't want to quieten your mind, then my suggestion is when you get an inspired idea, then you act on it straight away, or at least within the first 24 hours, and you act on it even if your mind is giving you all the reasons why you shouldn't, because that inspired idea is coming from what I call the superconscious, which has got way more information. This is the part of us that's based in and connected to the quantum field, or the higher self realm. So it has an unlimited database. So if you don't want to quieten your mind, act straight away on what you're being given.
Thank you. What other things can entrepreneurs do to connect with their higher self?
Meditation is definitely one of them. Another thing is building up your intuition, so that it's like a muscle, it's something that you have to build that skill back. So there's things like scripting. I don't know if you've ever heard of scripting. So instead of writing in a journal, what you're doing is you're writing down as if your experience has already happened. So part of alchemy, and alchemy is one of the things that I teach. So part of alchemy is choosing what it is that you want to experience. So you want to, experience 100 million people that you are influencing and impacting. So you want to experience that. You've set that as an intention. Now you want to feel it in your body, because our nervous system has to regulate to that empowerment, to that experience. So to do that, there's several different ways. One of them is every morning waking up, making the choice, choosing that, setting the intention, and then feeling it as if it's already happened. Being in that space of what I would feel like, how would I act, what would I be doing, how would I live, all of those things. And you experience that now. So you've got to be it now. And then I would be writing it in a journal as if it has already happened, because now you're scripting out your life. These are things to rewire your subconscious, your unconscious mind to begin believing that what is truth, because the unconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and a vision. So the more you visualize it, the more you imagine it, the more you document it, those things are now going to start rewiring the mind, and the mind will then start coming on board with the rest of the body. And now you're an energetic match for that. So all of the particles in the field have to come together. So the pattern in the matrix will then start creating that sacred geometry, which is leveling you up into that space of whatever it is you desire.
Thank you. Another reason why I consider I'm not where I want to be at the moment is because I think it's scary actually to think of, the actual dream, really coming true. And the reason why it's scary is because I'm still to some extent still afraid of people. Okay, so I mean it's a very strange situation to be in, but it's true. I'm still afraid of people. I'm still afraid of like what people can do and what people think, and what people will react, and even I think to some extent I'm afraid of still being misunderstood, like even a lot of times trying to help and that being misunderstood, and a lot of times trying to support or trying to give compliments and people thinking that I'm jealous or I'm envious, or coming up with things that don't exist. So how can someone like me become safe or feel safe? Are there any strategies or techniques to feel safe in the face of actually having the dream accomplished?
So the first thing I want to share with you is that it is a natural part of the process. As you level up, as you create this and you've got this in your mind and you're becoming that person, everything that isn't in alignment is a different match, is a different vibration. will come to the surface to be corrected. So that feeling means that you're on track. The fact that you have this contrast coming up and going, I recognize that actually I feel unsafe with people. I'm scared of them, is a good thing, because now you've got something to work with, to recognize that actually this doesn't work with where I want to go. And so this is something that I need to readjust, recode, clear. And it may be something from your childhood, but it could be in your genes energetically. So it could be generational history. We've had so many things happen in our parents' lives, right, that are actually still in our DNA. So one of the things is recognizing that it's untrue, right? And it's not congruent. So that's just something that you can do. And that is, that takes a little while. It's mindset training and shifting. One of the things that I do is a process called recoding. So recoding goes to the source of where that comes from and releases those codes that are holding you back from what it is you want to create. So that could be in your DNA. It could be in various different places. One of the things that people experience when they have a recode is the first thing they say is, I feel lighter, because now you're not tethered to that thing that's anchoring you into your past, and you feel lighter. So now you've got more light in your body and you can move into what it is you want to create.
Thank you. How does someone become mentally and emotionally strong to cope with criticism in the face of, let's say, wanting to become a big success and wanting to connect with their higher self?
So the process of it's such a big process, isn't it? Like, this is what our soul's here to do. And we make these big decisions of what it is that we want to create. And, it's almost like it's just a tool so that we can then recognize what needs to be shifted in our field, right? So criticism and all of those things are part and parcel of coming to the place. When we get what we want, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's not all love and light. It is, there's a spiral staircase, right? And you've got to go through the dark side of the spiral staircase to get to the light, right? And so it continuously spirals up. And so criticism is something that you come comfortable with, because the more you start recognizing your worth, the more you start, the more you start embodying your own empowerment, then criticism will always be there, because there's always someone that's going to be, not liking what we do or discrediting us in some way or whatever. There's always the people that are negative in our field, right? The more you actually become a whole person and recognize yourself as worthy, those things will be there, but they will not be something that you react or respond to. They're just, they say water off a duck's back, like they're just part and parcel. You think of some of the famous people that are around, presidents, they know that there's people out there that hate them, but it doesn't stop them from doing what they want to do, their passion, their desire, their destiny.
Thank you. Tell us more about how you became a natural success coach and intuitive activator, and how did you connect with your higher self, and what results did that bring about?
It's been a long journey, 27, I think it's about 28 years now. And it really did start, I think I was naturally, born to connect. And I think we all can, but some just have, a little bit more connection. I was a very pure soul, I suppose. My dad died when I was 15, and I knew he was going to die. And so it sent me spiraling, and I went through that dark night of the soul or whatever it is. But then, I think I was about 20, 24, 25, and I had a spiritual awakening when I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't a spiritual person. A friend of mine was saying, go to this psychic. She's amazing. You'll get to see your dad, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they're charlatans. I'm not interested. And I went just to shut her up because she was continuously hassling me. And this woman said, you can do what I do, but obviously you don't know it. And that sort of started a spark. My dad came through and I felt spirit for the first time. And it just took me on this journey that, I was actually just soul-led all the way through. I've had everything from 3 shooting stars when I asked for confirmation from the universe that I'm on the right path, to breezing through a 4.5 centimeter brain tumor with ease. I even had a 5-figure payout, that just sort of happened while I was sitting in hospital. I've met the love of my life. We were just talking about that before. So my maiden name was Payne, Payne, and I met this guy on the beach, and his last name was Makepeace. So I went from Payne to Makepeace. I've moved from Oleander Street to Oleander Drive, cars, houses, you name it. I have just had this continuous, it's like breadcrumbs all the way. And one of the things about listening to your higher self is being outside of the matrix, outside of what we think is true and real, and allowing ourselves to be in our innocence, to completely just surrender to whatever you're being told, even if it sounds ridiculous, and just doing it. And that's when all these miracles and magic and spontaneity, coincidences, as they say, can happen. And what happens then is it collapses time, because now you're not going on, wild goose chases. You're actually, in the right place at the right time for the right thing to happen. You have these amazing meetings with people, get in contact with you, you meet people at the right time. All of those things happen to fulfill your destiny. And it's a really beautiful way to live.
Thank you. Tell us more about, how does one distinguish between connecting with the higher self and connecting, or not connecting, you could say, with anyone, and then kind of like being in the wrong situation? How does one even distinguish? How do you even know that you're actually doing it? How do you know that you're accessing your higher self in a way that you know that you are inspired to take certain actions? And the reason I ask you this is because I'm wondering how sometimes, for example, I feel, like I'm doing the right thing, and sometimes it turns out to be the wrong thing, where I fall flat on my face. And is that because that's part of my destiny as well? That's still me connecting with my higher self, or does that mean that actually I didn't listen to my higher self, and that's why I fell flat on my face, or that's why I failed, or that's why I didn't accomplish or succeed in a particular task I wanted to do?
So, as a natural success coach, one of the things that I do is a process called dysfunctional formation. Really, really bizarre title, but when you're following your guidance and you get what you want, we all have a particular blueprint. We do a unique process that's unique to us, that takes us on the path of how to succeed. And we've also got the same when we don't get what we want, when we fail. So we've got a unique blueprint for exactly how we fail. So everyone has a different way of connecting in with their higher self, right? With their intuition, with that And as I was saying at the very start, this is something that we have to reactivate. And this is why I call myself an intuitive activator, because it's part of the process of reactivating and listening to that, recognizing what it is. Because my my success, when I'm in success, it's no big deal. Like when I met the love of my life down the beach, I just had a thought. I was online, had a busy, been training all day online, was just about to make dinner. I live at the beach, and I thought, oh, I might just go down the beach before I start dinner and, get my feet wet. No big deal, just a thought, and I followed through. So when I'm in my success, it's no, there's no rainbows, there's no shivers, there's no, big trumpets going off or anything like that, which could be very different for somebody else. Whereas when I'm in my failure pattern, when I do something that I don't succeed, the very first thing is something comes into my experience, right? So I might get an idea, or someone gives me an idea, and I might see something like a course or something like that, and I get super excited about it because I can see that it's going to solve something for me. And so I jump in all, like 100% and go for it. And I'm all excited about it, that it's going to be the thing that's going to make the change in my life. And then when it starts to not work out the way I want it to, I start changing directions with my intention. So that's my process. And, like I've got 22 different steps of how I fail, right? Because it's actually like the ultimate super awareness tool. Really, when you're looking at your success and your failure, you'll see a pattern where you do exactly the same thing each time. And so when you see your pattern of failure, or when you don't get what you want, you can pick up, okay, the third step is that I, go all in because I'm looking for something. This is what happens when I don't get what I want. So I'm going to change the course. So it's really about observing your own behaviors and how you react when you're in each different process, success or in failure.
Thank you. So for example, like for me, I get sometimes these urges to just do certain things. For example, like to get out of the house, to like, you have to get out of the house. And it's like, sometimes I don't, and I find like this feeling of FOMO, like of missing out. And other times I just get this feeling of, like I have to leave the country, and it's like, oh, you have to go and stay for, I don't know, a few days in a warm country, and what turns out is when I'm there, it's like I'm flourishing, I'm looking 10 years younger, like in 2 weeks, and like I'm feeling so happy and joyful and, excited, and so many different things work out. And it's like, it works for me, but other people don't get it, like why sometimes I have to just follow my intuition. And even actually coming to London, I came to London with 100 euros in my pocket. And to a lot of people who, have common sense, you think, you're crazy to like, come to London with 100 euros. But somehow it just kind of worked out for me. But how do you meet this thing between, following your intuition, following your higher self and the things that actually bring you a lot of joy, and actually this sort of things that sometimes bring you a lot of joy, and can those kind of things also bring to your downfall, or you find that actually no? Because in general, when you're fully excited and very enthusiastic about something in particular, it's always going to work out.
Generally, yeah. So if you're in the space of joy, you are in an elevated state. Joy is a high vibration emotion, and so it's more expansive than when you go into the feeling of doubt, fear. Doubt and fear have a lower vibrational frequency, and so it will disconnect you from source energy. And ultimately, you think of the world has been conditioned to work, and to listen to the mind. It is all about, disconnecting and just constantly being on overdrive. And if you get this nudge from your higher self, go to a different country, or go for a walk, it seems counterintuitive to what everyone else would be saying. Well, I've got, 500 emails that I need to read, or I've got a course that I need to put together, or whatever it might be. But if your higher self is giving you that information, what it's doing is it's giving you the exact thing that you need to keep that elevation going, that joy, that expansion. Because when you're expanded and in a joy state, or authenticity is the highest vibrational frequency you can be in, over and above love. And so when you are in joy, love, authenticity, and you're following your intuition, you're going to get all of the wisdom. So you might go for a walk and then come back and get massive downloads of exactly what you need to do to put into that book, or into that course, or into an email, reach out to the next person. You might walk down, get out of the house and meet the right person that you need to for some sort of project that you've got. So when we second guess it, we're coming from a limited place, and we don't know how much the universe wants to see us achieve our goals. If we just listen, even when it feels ridiculous or, out of sorts or whatever, just listen, we will constantly be guided towards what we want to create.
Thank you. How do we differentiate between running away from responsibilities, from the things that we actually have to do, and the things that we actually feel like doing? So, for example, like, I should be writing books, I should be, working. And often I find myself wanting to just be outside and have nothing to do with anything. But what I do find is, for example, when I'm outside, then I feel great, for example, going to the park, and I can do a lot of my emails and calling from there. Or let's say if I'm in a cafe and I have a mini computer, or even I have my phone, there's a lot of work that I get to do just from being there. So what would you say in this case is the higher self trying to transmit that I can't just be working in the house and I should be playing more? Or is it okay to follow that? Or is it a case of like keeping like a balance between what you're supposed to do and what you feel like doing?
That is a brilliant question. And because our unconscious can be really tricky. Our unconscious can even almost pretend like it's the higher self wisdom. And this is where it's really important to know yourself and, that self-awareness, because each individual time, one moment it could be your higher self saying, go for a walk, go out to a cafe and do your work from there. But the next time it could be, do that because actually your unconscious is distracting you because you're getting close to what you want to achieve and it feels uncomfortable. So it's knowing the difference in the feeling state, because the universe is full of tension. The universe loves tension. It is it's part of the law of attraction. It's part of the laws of the universe, right? So we're either in tension, where we're in psychological tension, where we're pushing against what it is that we want to experience. And so that feeling is, it can feel, a nervous disposition. It can feel like anxiety, could be depression. It could be pressure, overwhelm, burnout, all of those things. But then when you're in your creative flow, when you're really listening to your higher self, there is another feeling of tension, and it feels uncomfortable because it's the tension of the unknown. And it's hard to describe for someone that hasn't felt it. It's is more, for me, it's more of a high vibrational feeling, but it's still got this tension to it. It's still got a little bit, it can cause the wobble, right? And so the first thing I would say is you want to just get used to and feel comfortable with the fact that we will always have tension. So it's either creative tension when you're going for what you love, or it's psychological tension because you're being, pulled back into your current reality and held in the safety of the comfort zone, that your unconscious knows. And so when you know yourself, when you can really decipher the difference between the two, that's when you can start recognizing when you're being distracted so that you're not going for what you love, and when you're being led by your higher self.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
So my website would be the best place. We've got all the free resources on there, and, my socials and all of the things. So my website is Elizabeth Eleanor, and it's ELENOR, so it's spelled a little bit differently. So elizabetheleanor.com.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health changemakers to live your healthiest life ever.